Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Reviews. I'm just going to say this is a big thumbs up for me because I actually finished playing Mafia Definitive Edition. And no, I didn't do a community tab post about this because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to surprise everybody. Well, you could say it's a surprise because I've already reviewed, Mafia The Old Country. But I just thought, you know what, let's go ahead and play this game because I enjoyed the style and the look and the feel and the storytelling of Mafia The Old Country. So I want to go back and play, the original game. However, it is a remake of the first game, but there is that. But yeah, I just decided, let's go back and play this because I enjoyed what I got from Mafia the Old Country. So that is all of that. There will be some spoilers in the video, but I will give you my thoughts and a rating out of 10. I'll occasionally throw in a rating out of 10 if I think it's worth it. And for this one, I think it's worth it to mention a rating out of 10 for this game. So what you need to know is that it is about Tommy Angelo, a hard-working cab driver in the 1930s, Lost Haven, Illinois, who is forced to join the Salieri crime family after a chance encounter with mobsters. The game is a remake that tells the story of Tommy's rise and eventual fall within the Italian Mafia, framed by recounting his experiences to a detective who has been hunting him down for years. So that is kind of what it is about. It's set during the 1930s. You get this guy called Tommy Angelo. He's got this like swagger to him. He's got this cool hat and a jacket and things like that. And he's working for these guys. He's got these friends that he wants to help and all of that and things like that. And especially when you play the start of the game, you do see he's driving a taxi. There is a mission where you have to go and drop people off at a certain location because you're a taxi driver. So there definitely is all of that. I mean, there is actually fun missions in here where you go and you rob a bank, or you actually go and attack mobsters, or you go to a gentleman's club and you shoot people down and things like that. But what I do appreciate about this game is the style of the 1930s, like the way the jackets look, or the way, the guns, the detail of the guns, how, there's like Tommy guns and certain guns that they would have only used in the 1930s. There's only the way the cars sound, that's how the cars would have sounded back in the 1930s. So there's a lot of detail and, dedication into the environment and the experience of what it was like back in the 1930s, all while being, fictionalized. And I just like the story of this game because you've got these characters that they're likable. You get some fun humor and banter between characters like Polly and Sammy and things like that. And Don, the Don, you want to impress. That's what I noticed about Mafia the Old Country is that the main character he has to like impress his boss, and if he doesn't impress his boss, bad things start to go down. So there definitely is all of that. So I enjoyed that. There's also a race mission in this game. So Mafia the Old Country also had this, but this one is actually a lot more infamous because when you're actually driving through this race mission, right? Sometimes when you bump into someone, it can be a bit infuriating. So you have to go back and you have to go and do it again. But it took me a couple of attempts to do it because you know what? I just kind of sat there and just dedicated my time to just trying to not bump into things because some of these cars are old. So the way that they would move around and hit things, you'd be like, oh no, and it gets scratched. The car would get scratched, then you'd have to go back and you have to go drive around again and things like that. So it definitely has an old school feel to it. So I enjoy that about the game. Obviously, you've also got the idea that Tommy Angelo doesn't really want to be with the mafia because he realizes I don't think the mafia's life is for me because they're doing too many horrible things. Too many people are getting killed. So eventually, what happens is, spoiler alert, right? One of his really good friends, Polly, who's with him the whole time, he figures out that his friend Polly gets killed in Polly's apartment. Right, Polly gets killed in his own apartment, pretty much, and then this is like the final point of the game where Tommy Angelo has to go and take out Sammy because he was on the phone to Sammy and he was like, "Did you kill this guy?" And then he tries to blame Tommy for killing his own friend, which never actually happened. And so he has to go to this place, to this like museum or something like that, and you have to go take out all of these guys and you have to go shoot them down. You kill him, but in the final moments of the game, you do figure out that you actually die because of the decisions that you made because you decided to go against what the mafia said basically. So that's what's was good about it is that you know there's just something really interesting about these games where they want you to invest in this storyline, and then the bad things happen if you say no to something. If you always say yes, you will be treated like a king. And so I definitely enjoy that about the Mafia games. It's just an enjoyable game with fun missions and addicting combat with these epic sounding guns and just a lot of things like that with the storytelling. I just enjoy that, and the voice acting and everything. You could go on for ages about it, but I'd probably give this about an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's an enjoyable game, and I know I am kind of late to the party with this because, if I'm not mistaken, this remake did come out a few years ago, but it doesn't really matter anymore because I enjoyed this game and I actually want to play Mafia 2 and 3, and then I'll eventually get around to reviewing those as well. This is just something different for the channel, something different to talk about, like a video game instead of just a regular, day in and day out movie reviewer whenever I get a chance to review movies. It's always a movie review channel, but never really video games. So this is a way to spice it up and give you something different to watch. So yeah, overall I enjoyed Mafia the Definitive Edition when I finished it. And yeah, that's me doing my review of this game. Hope you enjoyed this review and stay tuned for more like this one. And I'll see you next time for another review on the James Rambling Reviews. Bye, bye, bye.